You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, putting America first, second, and third. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Wednesday, November 25th, 2020. Tomorrow, of course, is Thanksgiving Day with parades and dinners and football games and who knows what all else is going to transpire here. And as a little bit of a program note, RBN is going to be doing rebroadcast tomorrow, so we're not going to be live tomorrow, but we will be back live on Friday. So hopefully, if you're not too zoned out on the tryptophan, you'll be joining us on Friday for our show here. So let's get on into it here. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. And as usual, we're going to do news until we run out of news, and then we're going to open the line for phone calls from all of the listeners out there. And you can listen and call into the show while you're whipping up your recipes for like turkey stuffing here. And of course, my secret ingredient is popcorn. When I'm making turkey stuffing, I put a quarter cup of popcorn in there and put the turkey in the oven. And when it blows its rear end off, it's done. So getting into the more serious news here, interesting little analysis from Scoopy Web. And apparently, there was a media research center asked the polling company to survey voters in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, all states that were called for Biden except North Carolina. And the survey asked respondents what they knew about 8 specific issues or stories that the Media Research Center felt the corporate media had not adequately covered. And the survey found that 17% of the Biden voters surveyed said they would not have voted for him had they known about at least one of the stories. Now, the 8 issues were Tara Reade's sexual assault allegations against Biden, the financial allegations involving Hunter Biden, the left-wing views of Kamala Harris, the economic snapback from the coronavirus recession as the jobs report surged, the jump in economic growth, the historic peace agreements Trump helped foster between Israel and its Arab neighbors, America's energy independence under Trump, and the apparent success of Operation Warp Speed in developing a vaccine for COVID-19. 17% of the Biden voters said they wouldn't have voted for him had the corporate media honestly reported on any of those. Now, another little story along the same thing. Apparently, 45.1% of the Biden voters in the battleground states were not aware of the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. The corporate media just shut it down, and the only way it was getting out there was through the independent media, which is why the corporate media hates us so much. Now, Pennsylvania is still in play because apparently earlier today, a Pennsylvania judge ordered state officials to not certify the results of the election until the court holds a hearing on an election contest on Friday. Commonwealth Judge Patricia McCullough ordered the state to not take any further steps to complete the certification of the race, which the state announced yesterday. And she also blocked certification of all other election results. So we have some honest judges out there that want to see the facts of the case before a decision is made. So she said, basically, respondents are preliminarily enjoined from certifying the remaining results of the election pending the evidentiary hearing. So we'll see what happens with that on Friday here. Now, apparently, Trump joined an election fraud hearing today in Pennsylvania. He went with his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, to Gettysburg. And this is the first time he's been outside Washington, D.C. since Election Day. And, there's still a lot of fighting going on out there. And, everybody's screaming and pointing fingers. And the liberal Democrats are out there just saying, lock them all up here. And in fact, Keith Olbermann, who I used to have a lot of regard for, apparently came out with this statement that all the Trump hotels should be turned into prisons for Trump's supporters. And this is really jumping the shark, to be very honest, in my opinion here. All right. Apparently, over in Arizona, they have discovered over 6,000 false Biden votes discovered so far. And Biden and Trump are separated by just 4,202 votes right now. So again, you know, you're going to hear the Democrats out there saying, well, yeah, there was a mistake, but it doesn't change the outcome. Well, you can't say that. Once you find an error, the entire process becomes untrustworthy because you can't be certain you found all the errors or all the fraud. It's just impossible. It's an unsupportable statement here. Now, over in Georgia, they found another anomaly. Apparently, thousands of people registered and voted in Georgia using addresses of postal facilities or businesses, making them look like they were residential addresses. And apparently, these were illegitimate registrations because they weren't really residents. They were simply copying the addresses. And none of it really made sense for the actual locations. But on paper, they made the addresses look like residential ones, and the votes cast by the people holding these registrations were counted. Now, Georgia is saying they've identified over 1,000 early and absentee votes cast by individuals whose registered addresses are in fact at post offices, United Parcel Service, and FedEx locations, willfully disguising the box numbers as apartment, unit, etc. That's definitely cheating. It's definitely fraud here. Now, all of this talk about election fraud, Republicans are very concerned about the Senate runoff that will be taking place in January in Georgia. And we've heard all this stuff about, you know, Democrats are insisting people move to Georgia, register to vote, and then they can move back home after it's all over, that kind of thing here. But apparently the GOP in the Senate is very concerned that they're going to try and steal these 2 Senate runoff seats, which would result in a 50-50 split of the Senate. And the GOP would no longer be in control. Neither would the Democrats. It would almost be a lame duck Senate here. All righty. Now, we've been talking about down in Georgia, and Brad Raffensperger apparently at the last minute ordered a change from Georgia's earlier election machines to the Dominion voting system. And apparently there were concerns raised by some of the elections officials. So Brad Raffensperger brought in a witness to defend Dominion, and that witness was Eric Coomer, their, you know, security director, the Antifa guy, who was caught on social media bragging that he had rigged the Dominion machines to make sure that Donald Trump could not win. So it's, interestingly enough, if you go over to the Dominion website, the profile for Eric Coomer has been deleted from their page of directors. It's, everybody's covering up here. Over in Wisconsin, a group has filed an emergency petition after identifying 150,000 potentially fraudulent ballots. And of course, this challenges the state's unofficial election results. And the Thomas More Society's Amistad Project has said it found tens of thousands, actually 144,000 ballots that could be fraudulent. And so they have filed an emergency petition to say this needs to be looked into. And of course, it all needs to be looked into. You know, this idea about, oh, we can ignore the election fraud because it won't change the outcome. Boy, that's certainly what the Democrats and Biden and the corporate media want you to believe, but it's an absolute lie. Nobody commits election fraud without intending to steal the election. And it looks like that's exactly what happened. I remember Biden out there with just 20 people at one of his little public appearances. I mean, he really didn't campaign, but then in hindsight, he didn't need to. Anyway, over in Nevada, their Supreme Court has approved the state's canvass of the 2020 general election. This was decided yesterday by a 7-judge panel, and this would be sent to Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak for confirmation. The move delegates Democratic presidential candidate Biden as the winner of the Western U.S. battleground state, despite several ongoing lawsuits challenging the outcome of the election. So they're pushing it through. Even when there are doubts being raised, they're saying just rush it through, certify. We saw that already in a couple of states where there are still major questions about the accuracy of the election and political pressure and who knows, threats. We already know threats have been used against some of these canvassers to get them to vote to certify for Biden here. So let's talk a little bit here about Sidney Powell, because she's out there in a way. Apparently, she filed a major lawsuit in Georgia today. We don't really have the details other than it focuses on those Dominion voting machines. And apparently, Sidney Powell has been suspended by Twitter. Anybody out there trying to talk about election fraud or the truth about anything gets suspended by Twitter, which is why more and more people are going over to Parlay. Now, Sidney Powell is out there saying they don't expect to win district court cases because most of those have Obama judges, but they're clear on the law and they expect to succeed on appeal all the way up to the United States Supreme Court, which is where this is definitely going to wind up. Sidney Powell is out there saying that they have proof that in Arizona, 35,000 votes were given to every single Democratic candidate just to start the voting off. And she is convinced that it's probably happened in many other states as well. Let's see. We already talked about that here. All righty. Remember John Paul Mac Isaac? This was the computer repairman at the center of the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. And apparently he has been threatened with death for having exposed Hunter Biden's corruption and sexual perversions to the point where he has closed his Wilmington, Delaware computer repair shop and apparently gone into hiding. Afraid for his life. And that kind of thuggism seems to be a hallmark of what's going on over on the Democratic side. Threats to the computer repair show guy, threats to the canvassers. I mean, it's right out in the open. It's brown shirt tactics. Okay. Now, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Michigan legislatures are going to be holding public hearings on the 2020 general election, supposedly to restore confidence in election integrity. All I can say to that one is good luck on that one. And I would not be surprised if these meetings got very loud and argumentative and hopefully not violent. But that's going to be the big thing now, the big campaign, the big propaganda to convince you the election was honest and fair and transparent. And of course, it wasn't. We all saw what happened. This was the biggest coup d'etat election steal in United States history. They tried to reverse an expected Trump landslide, and it made it too obvious what they were doing. And now they're going to try and come on out there and brainwash all of you to say, there's no election fraud. Really, just watch a football game or something and stop paying attention to all those people, you know, who supported Trump here. Okay, because, you know, we stole his election fair and square, and it's time to just put that into history here. Apparently, in the few days right after the election, when claims of widespread fraud were just all over social media, Facebook is reported to have made an emergency change in its algorithm to suppress all news sources that were reporting any claims about election irregularities, under the claim that they're suppressing election misinformation. Okay, that's Facebook's new term. If you're talking about the election fraud, well, that's just misinformation. You know, you're all wearing tinfoil hats and, you know, conspiracy theorists and whatnot here. Out in Las Vegas, and this is not being reported yet, the bookies out there are still refusing to pay out for a Biden win. Apparently, the gamblers are a lot more honest than the corporate media. But the bookies are very angry that the fraud messed up their betting. They're still holding their cash, and I imagine they'll start paying out when Biden is actually inaugurated. But they're basically holding out to see what happens when this goes up to the Supreme Court. Now, at the Supreme Court, most of the justices there, feel they have to deal with this thing. We know Alito does. We know that Kavanaugh will, and Barrett probably will. Unfortunately, Chief Justice Roberts, we know he got compromised on Obamacare, and we know that his name appears in Jeffrey Epstein's little logbook for flights to his Caribbean island there. So Roberts may try and put the kibosh on this whole thing. Getting into non-election politics here, Biden is already pulling together what he hopes will be his future government. And already we're seeing the extreme far left progressive agenda start to surface. And apparently Cory Booker is introducing a bill to give land to Black farmers. And of course, the land will be taken away from white farmers. It's called the Justice for Black Farmers Act. It's going to establish what's called the Equitable Land Access Service System. And the land redistribution system would be led by an Undersecretary of Agriculture for Equitable Land Access. And if this sounds familiar, it should, because this is what they did in Zimbabwe and South Africa. And it really did not work out very well. But this is what the Democrats actually campaigned on. We'll take money away from somebody else and give it to you if you just vote for us. All right. Apparently, Joe Biden's pick for Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has a long relationship with Biden, dating back to their days in the Obama administration. And there's nothing wrong with that. But apparently, State Department emails are showing that he was hooked up with Hunter Biden as well. Now, in the weeks leading up to the election, as you recall, Hunter Biden was the headline of stories on independent media on their business dealings in Ukraine and China, potential links to his father, porn that was found on his laptop, including and involving underage girls. And records show that the younger Biden further had ties to Blinken, having scheduled meetings with him when he was on the board of Ukrainian energy firm Burisma, and Blinken was the deputy secretary of state. So the Burisma corruption is reaching even farther than just the Biden family. Now, peace activists are very upset because President-elect Joe Biden has picked Avril Haines for the Director of National Intelligence, and the peace activists are upset because of her role in drone strike policy during Barack Obama's presidency and covering up torture perpetrated by members of the George W. Bush administration. And they're very, very upset. Also, apparently she's a fan of mass surveillance here. Now, CIA Director Gina Haspel, who also has a record of involvement in some nefarious things, will report to Haines. And Haspel had a role supervising the CIA's torture program. And Haines supported Trump's nomination of the agency chief in 2018. So we're going back to some very, very ugly times that we thought we had finally gotten rid of, during the Bush and Obama years. With the torture at Abu Ghraib and invading countries that had not really done anything wrong to us. It does look like we're headed back for those dark times here. And if Biden succeeds in this theft, and it's looking increasingly like he will, we're headed for at least 4 years of endless war. We're going to take a break for commercials. We'll be back after these few words.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through healthyworldstore.com.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what really happened?
Welcome back to our show here. And again, a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network needs you to keep doing what we're doing. And I'm going to take a guess here that probably most of you listening to this program are thankful for Republic Broadcasting Network and the information that we bring to you, the facts that we share with you, so that you can make good decisions about your lives and about your communities and so forth and so on. So on your rush out there to enjoy the turkey and whatnot, why not take a moment to express some thanks to Republic Broadcasting Network, and the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And of course, all of this information about how to make a donation is at the top of republicbroadcasting.org. So the network thanks you, and I thank you as well here. All right, getting on back to our political news here. Apparently, Donald Trump is very upset at Jim Mattis for making the statement that America First needs to be ditched from national security policy And he came out with a comment saying, I should have fired him sooner, even though Mattis had actually quit. So a little bit of confusion over there. And Donald Trump just came over the news here. Trump has pardoned Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor who was accused of lying to the FBI. To me, there was a clear case of entrapment there, but Trump has decided to pardon him, and they've issued the pardon. Now, Mike Huckabee came out with an interesting observation, and he doesn't agree with Donald Trump calling Washington, D.C. a swamp. He says it should be more properly called the sewer. And I'm absolutely in agreement with him. And there's one thing we know about sewers and septic tanks, and that's the really big chunks float up to the top. All right, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. It's still out there. It's still being fanned at us to instill fear and panic and obedience here. Now, the director of the CDC, Robert Redfield, is saying that the COVID-19 vaccine rollout will start in the second week of December. Now, Health and Human Services is saying the states will have the final say on who gets the first doses. And we're hearing from most of the states, they're talking about the first responders, police, nurses, doctors, and so forth, and so on. So that's what they're projecting there. Now, a lot of claims are being made about these vaccines being 90% effective and so forth and so on. And already we're finding out these trials are sort of being biased. And apparently AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine, they're proclaiming it 90% effective, but on their tests, they didn't have anybody over the age of 56. Apparently, it's 90% effective for 55 and below who have a tendency to not get COVID-19 or to have serious symptoms from it. Most of the people who have supposedly died from COVID-19 were much, much older with comorbidity factors. Over at Moderna, their chief scientist is saying that its vaccine will prevent the coronavirus from making people sick, but it will not stop you from spreading the virus. So having this particular vaccine means you're still going to be keeping your masks on, or they're going to tell you to be keeping the masks on. Now, frankly, we know that a lot of people who get COVID-19 are in fact asymptomatic. They don't come down with symptoms. And so there's no difference between those people and those who are getting the Moderna vaccine. Again, it's not looking like it really is doing much of anything. And we're already hearing that some of these vaccines have got some serious side effects, which the media is trying to convince you means it's working and you should, enjoy being nauseous and throwing up on the floor and everything because it means you're getting healthy here. Out in Los Angeles, as you're probably aware, they have just clamped down with some serious restrictions. Indoor dining is now banned just in time for Thanksgiving. But apparently, at a Board of Supervisors meeting, Department of Public Health officials were asked to provide data to back up the new restrictions. And they said they don't actually have any. It's just something they feel should be done. Now, New York City is reinstituting vehicle checkpoints at key bridges and crossing and will strictly enforce the travel quarantine, according to Sheriff Joseph Fosito. Now, Andrew Cuomo is blasting the New York Police Department for refusing to enforce the Thanksgiving restrictions, saying these people are not real law enforcement. Okay, we have to take another break for commercials, and we'll be back after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the energy cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
Welcome back to our show here, and we're talking about COVID-19 and the draconian lockdowns that are being thrown all across the country because of the so-called second wave, and they're waving all these case numbers at us, and we have no way of knowing how accurate they are. I mean, if they're going to rig an election, they can rig the COVID numbers, no problem. And we know that the tests that they're using have a high number of false positives. So it's all by guess and by gosh, and it's being exploited for various political gain here. Now, over in New York, Robbie Dinero, no relation to the actor, he's the owner of Orchard Park's Athletes Unleashed gym, and he's been hit with a $15,000 fine following a confrontation with a health department official and Erie County sheriffs last Friday. Apparently, he held an after-hours protest in his closed gym with other business owners. And apparently, the confrontation resulted with the government officials being kicked out. And so they've come back and hit him with this $15,000 fine, which he has torn up, saying, "We will not comply." So it's starting to get really tense out there. Okay, during the COVID scare, there's always a, panic buying. And, we were at Walmart the other day, and true to form, the shelves for paper towels and toilet paper, they were empty. Yesterday, we were talking about how there's an ammunition shortage all across the United States. People are panic buying that. It's almost impossible to find 9mm right now. And apparently, according to this article from Investment Watch blog, apparently there is panic buying going on of chocolate. And I'm not sure exactly why. I mean, maybe the chocoholics are out there panicking. But now I wish I'd kept my M&Ms instead of eating them, because they may be worth a fortune in the near future. What can I tell you? All righty. Another little aspect of the COVID-19 lockdowns. Apparently, online learning is failing. It's not being effective. Students aren't tuning in here. And apparently, in Virginia's largest school district, they've had an 83% surge in F grades since classes switched to remote learning. So it's not really working out all that well. All righty. A while back in South Dakota, there was this nurse who'd gone public on CNN where COVID-19 patients with their dying breaths were insisting the virus is a hoax. Well, apparently her colleagues have gone public saying that no, this story isn't real. It was just something that was out there for propaganda purposes, and that the people dying of COVID-19 understand that's what they're dying of. Over in Sweden, they have stated they are seeing no signs whatsoever of herd immunity, slowing the spread of COVID-19 as the number of their cases soars. So this herd immunity theory may not be all it's cracked up to be. And here is where it gets interesting. This is another one from Investment Watch blog. Apparently, over 300 bot accounts were discovered tweeting the exact same messages, asking for internet censorship of all people who are concerned about vaccine safety. So this is an organized, bought and paid for online propaganda effort. And when you look at how hard they're pushing this, that's why I'm so worried. Because I mean, common sense tells you if you've got a crowd of 100 people and 99 get them the vaccine, why would you care about the 100th? And yet they're just out there seemingly desperate to make sure that everybody's going to get this shot. They're going to keep people off of airlines. They're going to prevent people from traveling, maybe even prevent you from working, until you get that needle in your arm. And I'm very concerned about what is in that needle. And again, think back to 1976 and the mandatory swine flu vaccination campaign that killed more people than the swine flu did. Okay, now just a few days after Boris Johnson over in Great Britain confirmed that the second English COVID-19 lockdown would soon come to an end, Chancellor Rishi Sunak has said that it has really slammed the British economy. He was speaking before Parliament, saying that the British economy has shrunk the most ever since 300 years ago, thanks to the COVID lockdowns. So this is causing huge economic damage all over the world. I think it's a cover for the fact that the global economy was on the verge of a crash anyway. They don't want people blaming the bankers or the politicians. So the propaganda is going to be, well, it was the pandemic and we were doing great, but that pandemic just led to this complete economic meltdown. All right, so here we are the day before Thanksgiving, and Americans are lining up in record numbers at food banks all across the country. And apparently news reports from states around the U.S. are indicating that more Americans are food insecure now than at any time in recent decades. So we're not just talking about not having goodies for tomorrow, but we're talking about people. Americans are food insecure. We're not used to really seeing our country that way, with so many Americans food insecure. It's almost like we've become a third world country when nobody was looking here. Anyway, video on CNN last Tuesday from the Meadowlands Entertainment Complex in New Jersey showed residents waiting for hours to obtain prepackaged boxes of meals for the Thanksgiving holiday. All right. Bitcoin is going up. It broke through 19,000 for the first time in 3 years. Analysts are predicting it could hit 300,000 in the next 12 months. Now, it isn't necessarily that Bitcoin is going up as much as the dollar is going down. But it's interesting that the corporate media really isn't talking a lot about this. Because the last thing they want is everybody cashing in their dollars, their bank accounts, their stock portfolios, and pouring into Bitcoin here. Turning to the international news, and things are a little bit grim here. Apparently, the Israeli military is preparing for a possible attack on Iran. Now, they're out there saying that this may be something that Trump wants, but so far, all of the orders about B-52 deployments have come out of Central Command, and it may be that Trump really isn't in control of that anymore. Remember, it was only a few weeks ago they were saying use the 25th Amendment so that he could not exercise the authority of his office between now and January 20th. But apparently, Axios Barak Ravid, reporting from Tel Aviv, saying the Israeli Defense Forces have in recent weeks been instructed to prepare for the possibility that the U.S. will conduct a military strike against Iran. And they may not wait for a false flag. They may just do it. And again, tomorrow is a holiday of tremendous emotional importance and symbolism to the American people. And so far, there isn't a big bang, but I still think we're looking at one in the very near future. Apparently, Israeli forces are again attacking Syrian army positions south of Damascus, and just continuing that war there. Now, apparently, there is an ultimatum now on Ethiopia's Tigray city, but apparently human rights watchdogs have said there are at least 600 dead, 600 people killed in the November 9th Tigray massacre. And apparently they're concerned about the failure to care for the displaced. Apparently this November 9th massacre, people were hacked to death. And it's just another ugliness from that part of the world. And it does feel like the whole world is taking that deep breath before it gets into a real world war, which I'm convinced will happen under a Biden administration. Over in Nagorno-Karabakh, apparently Russia is considering intervening as the Azeris and the Turks start settling 4,000 what are described as terrorists in Karabakh. And apparently that Turkey is in cooperation with Azerbaijan to provide documents for the legal settlement of the first group of no less than 4,000 Turkmens who supposedly came to Azerbaijan as terrorists and mercenaries, will soon settle in the towns and villages in southern Artsakh. That's calming down a little bit, I think. Hard to tell. All right. Getting on back to Ethiopia, apparently Tigray has now rejected the prime minister's ultimatum, and the deadly conflict is escalating there. Now, the United Nations and various international organizations are urging both sides in this conflict to cease hostilities in a bid to prevent civilian casualties. But so far, it doesn't really seem to be working. Now, when Afghanistan was under the control of the Taliban, they had wiped out pretty much the entire heroin trade. And if you were caught with an opium poppy, they'd cut your hand off. A bit draconian, but it did work. Following the American invasion, Afghanistan's heroin industry just boomed on up with record crops, and photographs documented that the raw opium was being transported by military members of the so-called alliance that went in there to Afghanistan. Well, now the heroin has competition because apparently Afghanistan is now emerging as a significant global producer of methamphetamine, according to a study from the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction. Now, Afghan drug traffickers have discovered the ephedra plant, commonly found growing wild in certain parts of the countries, can be used to create ephedrine, the key component of methamphetamine. And apparently they're making it in the crystal form, which is highly addictive. And apparently they can make it a lot cheaper than domestic labs can do it. We don't have those ephedra plants growing in the United States, and that gives them a significant advantage. Over in Saudi Arabia, their oil company, Saudi Aramco, is acknowledging that a Yemeni missile attack that targeted its distribution facility in the city of Jeddah did cause major damage. This happened last Monday. Now, Abdullah Al-Ghamdi, the manager of the North Jeddah bulk plant, told reporters that one of the 13 tanks used for diesel oil, gasoline, and jet fuel at the facility had been damaged and was out of service. The tank was hit from the top side, major damage to the roof. The hole was 2 meters by 2 meters. The attack triggered an explosion and fire, but that was contained. Now, the Saudi cabinet is out there saying that the Houthi attacks are targeting the backbone of the global economy, meaning oil, and the security of its supplies. So they're trying to rally the world to their side by saying, if you want to put gasoline in your tank to drive over to grandma's for Thanksgiving tomorrow, you better side with us against Yemen here. This is a little bit alarming as we turn to the Western Pacific. Apparently, the Defense Secretary of the Philippines has warned of the growing risk of conflict in the South China Sea and said that if war erupts between China and the United States, that Philippines will be involved. This will, of course, provide additional bases and facilities for the United States, not to mention personnel. Now, here's a very alarming article. This is coming out of Business Insider, and we've talked about this before, that these very, very expensive pieces of military equipment being put out by the defense contractors aren't really very good. So this article that came on out is saying that U.S. military aircraft are nowhere near as ready as they should be, and it is a bad situation. They're saying that over the better part of the last decade, only 3 of 46 aircraft types in the U.S. arsenal regularly met the service-established mission-capable goals, and only 1, the Air Force's venerable UH-1N Huey, consistently met the readiness goal. The Huey's a very fine aircraft. And they go on to basically describe more situations. Now, even more alarming, apparently nuclear missiles are being returned to Europe. Again, this is a very, very dangerous situation, very destabilizing here. Getting into some other news, there is a new HBO documentary on transgender children, and I accidentally stumbled onto it while searching for something else on the cable box, and I watched it for a while, and I found it a little disturbing here. And according to this article that's from Russia Today, they described it as disgusting abuse. And they talked about this documentary showing a mother encouraging her transgender toddler to announce their new gender at the church congregation, knowing that there are probably going to be many people in that church congregation who would not be comfortable with that. And apparently a lot of commentators are savaging this HBO documentary, with one pundit suggesting the children's parents should be hauled away in handcuffs. And apparently this documentary, it's called Transhood, and it follows 4 children growing up transgender in Kansas City. Now, the parents, by and large, are supportive and push the kids to come out. to dress in the opposite gender in public. And in the case of one teenager, they injected her with testosterone. And I really view this as child abuse. These kids are too young to really know what sex is or gender is. And one of the big secrets being hidden by the transgender community, in fact, they're out there trying to get this book taken out of Amazon, is how many people will make the transgender transition. They'll go through the surgery, they'll go through the hormone treatments, and after it's all over, they realize it didn't really fix the problems in their life, and they have regrets. They regret going through that. I mean, their bodies have now been, damaged, and there's really no way for them to go back, and they're very unhappy about that, but you're not supposed to know that. You know, the idea is being pushed that going transgender is the path to nirvana. Okay. All right, we're going to take another commercial break here. When we come on back, we're going to open the phone lines. And we have a couple more stories about nature and science, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Wall Street wizards on the land from a mental institution, claim private retirement funds. Yeah, they are the best solution. But when the markets crash, we'll be asking where's the cash. Guess them folks in D.C. must be smoking Texas hash. We'll
Welcome back to our show here, and we're going to open up the phone lines now. Area code 512-248-8252. And turning to some science and nature news, there's some wild weather all over the globe here. And tropical cyclone Gati made landfall over Cape Hafun, Puntland, Somalia. And apparently it's the strongest ever recorded in that part of the world. And they're having a real bad time with that over there. Apparently tropical storm Nivar is expected to cross Tamil Nadu and Puducherry coasts on November. This is in India. And boy, it's almost like somebody does not like planet Earth. Anyway, apparently the entire island of Luzon, Philippines, has been placed under a state of calamity. I guess that's their equivalent of the state of emergency. As of November 18th, following typhoons Goni and Vamco. They got a double whammy there. Righty, and apparently they've had a major blizzard in China, snowfall in Harbin, freezing rain. They're calling it a disaster. All right, we got callers starting to call on in, so let's start with Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Mike, I just want to ask you quickly, who makes the assignments for the Supreme Court justice? It's very important. I'll tell you why in a second. Is it the chief judge, or is it some clerical personnel like a court clerk, or who?
Well, what do you mean by a Supreme Court assignment?
Like they assign which justices are over a certain area.
I don't know the actual mechanism for that, but basically each of the judges is basically in charge of one of the circuit courts. There are 9 circuit courts and 9 justices. And apparently when an appeal comes up from those circuit courts, it goes to that specific justice, who will then present it to the rest of the court to see if they'll hear it or not.
Okay, the reason I say that, on November 20th, new assignments were made, okay? Well, some not really new assignments. And Justice Thomas was assigned over Georgia, over the circuit court in Georgia. Justice, what's her name? Amy Comey Barrett was assigned in Michigan, over, I believe, over Michigan. Oh, no, yeah. And no, she was over Wisconsin. And Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh, was assigned over Michigan. And Alito, Justice Alito, I think he was already, but he's assigned over Pennsylvania. Or, there are other states involved too. But these are the 4 key states right now with with everything that's going on. All right? Either if it is the Chief Justice making an assignment, maybe he's starting to think, we got to say, we can't let this happen, this still happen. And, this is America and all that. And maybe he's got some patriotic feelings. Either that or somebody loyal to Trump within the court system made the assignment. So whatever it is, it's very hopeful, because especially right now, it's coming into Georgia right now.
Okay, Mark, stay on the line. We got to take a break for station identification. I'm going to come right back to you after these few words.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, We can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cachingproperty.com. That's cachingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth. What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero? The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 512-248-8252. We're talking with Mark in North Carolina, and I did a quick search to see if I could answer the question as to who decides which justice is linked to which Court of Appeals, and I couldn't find any answer. It would almost make sense that it is Chief Justice Roberts, but that's just a guess on my part here. But again, as far as Roberts, we know he's compromised and he can be controlled because of what happened back during Obamacare when, he was opposed, and then all of a sudden at the last second, he turned around and said Obamacare was legal under the Commerce Clause, and then promptly left town for a vacation so the reporters couldn't catch up with him.
Yeah, that might be. He might be compromised. But the thing is, this might be his way of getting around that, being that these 4 justices, plus there's one other that would probably be on their side. I'm trying to think. You have the you have Alito, Thomas, Comey Barrett, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh.
The guy from Colorado. What's his name? The first guy that Trump appointed there.
Kavanaugh.
Colorado.
Yeah.
No, not Kavanaugh. Mitch Kavanaugh. He's in charge of. He's right where he should be, right by Michigan. The guy from Colorado, the first justice he appointed.
Oh, I'm blanking on the name. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, he's very conservative too. But he might be used in some other. But the fact that he put these 4 justices, and remember, Thomas and Kavanaugh definitely have an axe to grind. Thomas with as far as Biden and also Kavanaugh with Harris. Okay, over the drilling, what she put him through during the hearings.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm telling you, there's something funny about this. And I think this might save this might save the United States of America, right there, because we cannot have Biden take office. I would tell somebody today that it would be the epitaph of the United States then would be born in Philadelphia, 1776, died in Philadelphia, November 3rd, 2003. So 2020. That would be.
I was wondering about that. Yeah. Well, I would like the idea of the Supreme Court stepping in and following the rule of law and throwing the election into the House of Representatives, because from where I sit, there is no remedy to the questions that linger over the validity of the elections all across this country. And so the only option that would be open for them is, again, throw it into the House of Representatives. But unfortunately, the people who are behind this coup d'etat, they're not going to stop now. And we're going to continue to see machinations up to and including the Supreme Court itself to try and keep Biden in that office.
Well, what they can do, first of all, is they also can, if the Supreme Court could just throw out the mail ballots, which are poison, the fruit of a poison tree, like they say in law, in a criminal case. That's basically what it is with the mail ballots. They're the fruit of a poison tree. They never should have been there in the first place. Even back in Lincoln's days, it was considered a problem, and the Supreme Court could simply do that, to throw those ballots out, and that would be the ballgame. Especially since Alito ordered Pennsylvania not to count to any ballots that came in after 8 o'clock on November 3rd.
Yes.
To go to a separate pile. They disobeyed his orders. I mean, it's contempt of court, really. So I
I don't think the Supreme Court is really going to let itself get bogged down in individual cases here. I think the overwhelming indications are of election fraud that, the Supreme Court back in the 1800s did actually declare an entire presidential election invalid, and they could do so again now.
Which one was that? I didn't even know that.
I think it was United States versus Throckmorton was the case, and was in the late 1800s. And I put up an article about it a while ago. But the Supreme Court could do that. I mean, they could say there is no remedy. But again, look at the machinations we saw back in 2000 between Al Gore and George Bush, where it looked like Gore legitimately won the election. And then the Supreme Court basically anointed Bush. We could see the same thing happen here.
Was this a presidential election you're talking about in the 1800s?
Yeah.
Wow. I never knew that, to be honest with you. So they could do that. But they're going to have to do something, because in order for this country to survive, first of all, if Biden gets in there, how is he going to govern? Nobody's going to listen to him. The thing is this, and it's good in a lot of ways, because if he tries to lock down the country, all right, the states are going to rebel, or at least the good states are going to rebel. The other thing is that you talk all this stuff about he wants to get us into wars here and there and everywhere else, right?
Yes.
How's he going to have an army that's going to be on his side? How's he going to have an army that's got any morale? I don't think the military would have morale right now to fight a war with Iran, let alone fight a war with Russia.
No, I don't think they do. There's a huge morale problem in the military. But I think what you need to understand is that the Biden presidency would be Barack Obama's third term. I mean, he was Biden's boss before, and I think he sees himself as Biden's boss now. And we know that Biden is just going to be a front man because, he's mentally deteriorated. He's going to do what he's told, which was, Trump wouldn't do that, and that's why they hated him so much.
Okay, if they do that, let's say they do that, let's say the deep state gets, even they got to know, they got a demoralized military. We could not defeat Russia on the ground. We would get destroyed on the ground, either in Syria or in Europe. Russia is ready for something like that. They're prepared for something like that. They got their troops in place, and they do have morale, because Russia right now has more freedom than we got. It's difficult for me to say that, but unfortunately, I know this guy, his last name is Dugan, John Mark Dugan. He was a deputy sheriff in Palm Beach County, and he fled to Russia because he was a whistleblower about brutality and stuff, and they were looking to kill him. And he moved to Russia, and he's got a video channel now. And he said, people ask him how is living in Russia. He says, well, you actually have more freedom right now in Russia than you do in the United States. So as far as I know, their vaccine is not mandatory. It's up to them. I wouldn't take it one way or the other.
Yeah.
I think most people I talk to wouldn't take that vaccine. All right. I had never taken a flu shot and have no intention of taking this thing. All right. This thing is dangerous. Is totally unpredictable. It's something new, and you'd be crazy to take it. But the thing is, if he tries to, I wonder by the way, about all this law enforcement and medical personnel, whether they're going to take it or not, or they're going to refuse. That'll be interesting right there, because I understand only 40% of nurses say they would take it.
Yes.
And I tell you right now, I was in law enforcement today still, or corrections, or any of that stuff. And they told me I had to take it. I said, well, goodbye. That's it.
Yeah.
Ain't doing it. Because, and so again, how will they expect this military to be able to fight even Iran on the ground, let alone Russia? Okay. Do they think a nuclear war, we could really win a nuclear war? No, we could. By the way, one thing I think Russia should do, and that would stop Israel at least. That would make it clear to Netanyahu and his goons. Give Iran about 4 or 5 nuclear weapons with the means of delivery. Okay, make sure that those things can go to Israel. So if Israel decides that they, with their whatever the nukes they have to do something, it would take a heck of a lot less to annihilate Israel. Maybe 1 or 2 bombs as for Israel to annihilate Iran. and that would stop the Israelis right there. They would not. Now we have a mad situation. Mutual assured destruction. You have a mad situation, and Netanyahu and all these psychopaths ruling Israel would shut their mouths and stop this nonsense, including attacks in Syria, and maybe they'd start treating the Palestinians better. And it was
but you're forgetting one thing. You're forgetting one thing, and that is Israel's going to have the United States attack Iran and then stand off to one side and say, we have nothing to do with this.
Well, I don't think, I'm like I said again, we could not win a war like that unless we did go nuclear. I don't think on the ground, first of all, Russia would help Iran. They help one way or the other, whether they help them, stealthily, or they help them outright, or they just send in Russian troops. Russia would get involved one way or the other. China would probably get involved. Okay, you're talking World War III at that point.
Yes.
And again, with a demoralized army, and let's say it didn't go nuclear. Let's say it was a ground war. Let's say it was conventional. There's no way you could fight a war, even try to fight a war like that without a draft. Now you really got problems. Here would be a president who has no respect, who stole the election. Everybody knows it. I think 97% of Republicans now believe this was not a fair election, and 30% of Democrats believe that. So here you have a demoralized nation and a demoralized military on top of it, all right? That would, so you'd have to have a draft, and that would be game, set, match. This country would erupt. This country would just blow up, period. It might be the end right there. Because these young kids, they ain't gonna go. They're not gonna go in. They're gonna riot. You're gonna see the left and the right unite if that ever happens. Okay? The real left, the real populist left and the populist right would unite. There's no way you're going to be able to get that done. So I don't know how these clowns really think. But then again, these are inbred.
Well, I have a suggestion.
Crazy,
I have a suggestion.
So who knows?
Okay, I have a suggestion. I suspect that the plan to attack Iran is going to be along the same model that they used in Iraq, a war from the air to simply bomb the government and command structure out of existence, and then just simply roll on in unopposed. Now, there were a lot of people who were killed in Iraq, and there are going to be a lot of people killed in Iran.
But I understand. My understanding is Iran is a lot better equipped to handle it.
Yes,
than,
they are.
Iraq is. And again, I think they would be helped by Russia. They would get Russian weapons, planes. And the other thing is, Iran does have the missiles. They may have the nuclear missiles, but they do have long-range missiles, and they could literally destroy. You talk about those aircraft carriers; they'd be sitting ducks.
Yes.
So with the and if they wanted to, they could fire in Israel also, and they could definitely destroy the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. So I mean, the economy is bad enough now. So can you just imagine what it would be then? So they have those options. Iraq didn't have those options at the time. Nobody was there to help Iraq. The Russians weren't there to help Iraq. The Chinese were not there to help Iraq. They were on their own, and they didn't have as powerful a military as Iran has now. So I don't, so they try that, it would be disaster. It would be a disaster. And I know Biden, like you said, he's a demented old fool, and he won't really be running things anyway if he gets in there. But even the clowns that think they're so smart within the deep state, with the CIA, the top Pentagon people, even they would have to know it wouldn't work. Now you got, like I said, you got these inbred madmen, these globalists, neocons, neoliberals, and out technocrats. Who knows? I don't know what they're thinking. They might be thinking, well, we have a nuclear, let's say we have a nuclear war, we can hide in our bunkers and then come out as robots. These people are crazy. Yes. So I don't know what these men are thinking. So it's a very dangerous situation. That's all I can say, Mike. I just hope that Trump still, wins. I think he can pull it out. It's on the Supreme Court, and if Roberts, even with Roberts, I think they could do it. But again, who knows? And I don't trust Trump fully either. Let's be honest about it. It still seems like Netanyahu's got him by the short hairs for some reason, and he still listens to his stupid son-in-law. And so again, there's no telling. He doesn't seem to understand. Why don't you just tell Netanyahu, go stick it? You're nothing to us. You're running a criminal nation. You're lucky we don't bomb you. Just leave us alone. You want to attack Iran, you go right ahead. Good luck. But do it without us.
Well, Israel's model has always been to get the United States to attack Israel's enemies for them and then stand back and pretend that they're not involved. Anyway, Mark, I need to let you go. I let you talk for a while here, and we got a bunch of callers waiting on the line. So let's switch to Steve in West Virginia. Steve, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, Mike, good to talk to you. One thing I want to add to what Mark said is Israel is basically a one-trick pony. If somebody could get a bomb and hit Tel Aviv, a nuclear bomb, the whole country would be over. It would never, ever recover.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't even matter. Jerusalem, none of that would matter. If they could hit Tel Aviv with a nuclear bomb, even a small one, the country would never recover.
Well, I would like to take out that bomb factory at Dimona, to be very honest. I certainly hope they don't bomb Jerusalem because of its importance to so many of the world's religions. But bad things happen in wars. A lot of very historic places in Europe were destroyed by World War II.
Absolutely. Mike, the main thing I wanted to talk about real quick here is you mentioned the fraud with the mailboxes in Georgia, okay?
Yes.
And what I've been reading is that those mailboxes were all purchased by one or two entities that tie back to Democratic PACs. And I think some people in Georgia are going to go to jail. And I also think, according to Sidney Powell, that Raffensperger guy has taken, they have some kind of evidence that he's taking kickbacks.
Yes.
And some of the people in Trump's campaign had tweeted to him, telling him he has one last chance. And I think there's the way if you look at Pompeo, the way he's acting and stuff, it doesn't look like he plans on leaving. I mean, he's been the strongest out of all of them, and I think there's something working in the background that we all don't know about, Mike. I really believe that.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot going on in the background right now. I mean, like what we saw with the canvassers who were split in the vote, and apparently they were getting death threats, and one of the Republicans finally flipped and said, yes, let's certify. So there's a lot of skullduggery going on in the background. And of course, you will not see it reported on the corporate media. We have to dig it out ourselves and get it out there for the people to be aware of.
Mike, one last thing I sent you a video 2 days ago on a civil rights attorney on YouTube that did a little thing on the election, Leah Dundas. Did you get that?
Yeah, it sounds familiar, and I think I linked it to whatreallyhappened.com. But if you want to mail it in again, I'll take another look and verify that that's the one I'm thinking of.
Mike, this attorney, Leah Dundas. I think she's out of Pennsylvania, but I'm not sure. But she did one of the best videos on the election I've ever seen. And what it basically is about is she breaks down that she believes that Trump, after the 2018 midterms, the Trump administration knew that they cheated just the same way they cheated now in those midterms when they flipped all those, 50 seats or whatever it was. And she believes that Trump put this executive order in, and she goes through the whole executive order and all the coincidences in it. It's the most amazing video I've seen since the election, since all this started. I'm going to send it to you again, and I hope you post it.
Actually, you don't need to, because I remember it now, and I did post it to What Really Happened.
Okay. What did you think of that?
I thought it was an interesting approach here. And yeah, we know there was a lot of election fraud in 2018. There was a lot of election fraud in 2016. I mean, it's been an ongoing problem. The difference in 2020 is they had to do so much of it to reverse a Trump landslide that everybody noticed. And I think Americans are starting to deal with the idea that their elections really are little more than a theater piece that's put on to try and keep them complacent and think that they still have some kind of control over this rogue government, as it were. Anyway, listen, Steve, I got to let you go. We got to take another break for commercial, and we got more callers waiting on the line when we get back.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Forced to carry his own cross while we drive nails in his coffin. You might say it is routine. It happens far too often. A decorated soldier, veteran of the war. Who would have thought that he would be among the sick and poor? Preacher man.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phone here to Bob in Colorado. Hello, Bob. Thank you for waiting. What's on your mind today?
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, I'll say what I need to say. I'll hang up and listen off air.
Okay.
Number one, whatever happened to the, I think that was the FCC ruling with 230 with the protection of First Amendment. And the other thing was, I don't know if you would know, but maybe an officer out there would know. I was a cop for 25 years, 20 years ago. And I would like to know that if we have government witnesses that have seen some of this stuff going on, like post office and so forth, are they being protected by the U.S. Marshals? And also, I would hope that the Proud Boys would try to protect some of these attorneys that are now so scared that they don't want to get involved anymore. So I think they need protection so we can hear the truth. And I hope this gets rectified pretty fast. I'll listen to you off air, Mike. Great show.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob. We know that some of the people who are fighting the legal fight on behalf of Donald Trump have been threatened, and some of them are under protection. We don't know how many. And of course, that's not information that we would want to disseminate anyway, because it hands another advantage to the opposition here. As far as Section 230, the reason people are upset with it is because it basically excluded online social media from being defined as a publisher, which would have opened them up to the kind of lawsuits that regular newspapers and TV news are vulnerable to in the event of libel and slander and lying to the people. And that's one of the reasons why we saw Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and who knows all else just openly blocking conservatives. As we reported earlier in the show, Facebook changed their algorithm to silence any news sources that was questioning the validity of the election. And, if Trump does pull this off and continues into the next term, we definitely need to revise Section 230. All right. Well, listen, let's go to Bruce in Texas. Bruce, I may have to take you into the next break after the commercial. What's on your mind? Bruce in Texas, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here
well,
now.
good.
Hello?
All right, what's on your mind now?
Yeah, early in 2019, Microsoft put out on their blog, and they put it on GitHub, Election Guard, and it was criticized by Whitney Webb as being a backdoor for the military-industrial complex. But if you look at Microsoft's rundown on it, it looked pretty good. And then they tested it in Wisconsin in February in a local election, and then boom, it just disappeared. I haven't heard mention of it. I've done several searches. Yeah. So
there
have been kind of curious.
There have been election systems designed to be cheat-proof, like the True Vote system. And strange things seem to happen to the people who create them. And then that system will go away. You need to understand the people who are holding power now, which includes the corporate media, they don't want an honest, fair election system here. They want a system that works for them, that keeps them in power. That's why they were so upset by Trump's victory in 2016, is they felt their grip on the election slip.
Yeah, you're exactly right. If Trump prevails, I sure hope he doesn't repeat after 2016 and just lets everybody off the hook. If he has to go through and just fire everybody again in the FBI, the Department of Justice, something has to be done because
I agree.
Cheating in several states like that violates the rights of all the other states. And so it becomes a federal matter. It's not just a state matter,
Well, I would imagine that if Trump prevails, he's going to be a very angry president in his second term. And because he's not worried about a third term, I would expect that we'll see definitely some payback. When you go after a king and you don't succeed, there's all kinds of fallout from that.
He needs to do it. If he really wants to protect America, he needs to ensure that this isn't repeated in the future, not just for personal gain, personal vengeance.
Yes.
As far as those lawyers being threatened and all that, if they were a rabbi, I'm sure the FBI would be all over that. There'd be people arrested and put on CNN and Fox News and all that. There's something.
Yep. Well, the
Yeah.
FBI is just sitting on their thumbs right now. They're not investigating any of the allegations of election fraud, and so far they don't seem to be investigating any of the threats of violence and death that are being thrown all over here. All right,
No,
Bruce.
if it was a news at Talladega, can you imagine? That's all I
Yeah,
got.
Bruce. Okay, Bruce, stay on the line. Got to take another break here. I'm going to put you on hold. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719 extension 3. 800-724-2719 extension 3.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Bruce in Texas. And Bruce, you had one more thing you wanted to share with us, I think.
Yeah, I might as well put in something else that somebody else come on. The way Benjamin Netanyahu congratulated Biden right away in such glowing terms, that tells me that he's counting on Biden to deliver the wars in the Middle East that Trump did, you know. So Let's hope. I'm crossing my fingers that Trump gets back in, not because I'm a worshiper of him, but if we go to another war, we go ahead and go into Syria and Iran, it's going to be a huge disaster. That's all I got.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, we've been in Syria and we haven't done very well there. We've been in Afghanistan. We haven't done well there. The fact is that this plan to completely bring the Middle East and much of Europe under U.S. control is going very, very badly. And it's bankrupted the nation. It's destroyed our illusion of moral leadership in the world. And this last election has made a mockery of our claims of being the light of democracy to the world here. Anyway, Bruce, thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Starfire in Pennsylvania. Hello, Starfire. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. We just got at like 15 to 5 Eastern time. They give here in Pennsylvania. We thought it was an Amber Alert. Now they're saying COVID, they want everybody shut down again. They want everybody to not have more than 4 people. 4 people in your home at any one time. And also they want the, how do I say it right? I'm going to let Milton talk to you, Mike, because he knows how to talk better.
Okay.
Hello, Mike. Yeah.
Hi, Milton. How you doing?
Okay, yourself. No liquor after 5. Okay, that's positive. And then I had a question. All right, if this system goes down, like if the crap hits the fan, so to speak. All right, for communication-wise. Okay, like I already have a ham radio, not licensed to talk on it, but I have ham, CB, walkie-talkies. What other method can people use?
Smoke signals.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Starfire can do that. But no, but I mean, I remember you mentioning one time when Russia collapsed that they used, was it Telegram or something?
Fax machines. It was called the Samizdat, and it was a network of fax machines.
Yeah, but that'd be kind of too late for that if nobody isn't on the same page, right?
Well, I mean, it was set up and well organized. I mean, one machine, went to 10, and then those 10 went to another 10 each, and so forth and so on. So it really was nationwide, and it basically educated the Soviet citizens to the realities of how corrupt and secretive and tyrannical their government had become, which eventually, led to the downfall of the Soviet Union.
Yes, right. All right, man. Okay, that's go ahead. Something else?
I wanted him to tell his lovely wife hello for me.
I certainly will.
Relay. Say hello to your lovely wife. And we wish
Yes,
you all
I
a happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
And
all right.
Here so somebody else gets a chance. Okay, bless you, man.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to John in Indianapolis. Hello, John. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes.
The previous caller kind of stole my thunder. I was going to talk about Samizdat. I'm wondering if Biden tries to clamp down on the independent media, what would the modern day Samizdat in 2020 look like?
Well, anything going over a phone line can be monitored. The Russians, the Soviets rather, didn't have the technology to do that. But my guess is they could intercept a fax midstream, man-in-the-middle attack, and read out what was being transmitted. But there are other ways, packet radio is probably going to make a huge, huge comeback, along with a lot of outright pirate transmitters.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Also wondering, I mean, people are definitely awake as to what's going on right now with the election, but do you think they're going to stay awake for a long period of time, or just go back to sleep as soon as Biden's elected, or what do you think is going to happen? Or as soon as
I would like them to stay awake. I have a feeling, though, people may stop talking about what happened out of a sense of, politeness or misplaced patriotism, but they're not going to forget this election for a very, very long time. And they're looking at all the lies and fraud coming out of corporate media about this election, and they're starting to go back and think about what else were we lied to about. And of course, the first one's going to pop into their mind was the claim that Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons. So, I think, the government and the media have a massive credibility problem of their own making. Like we reported yesterday, apparently the corporate media is very upset that people simply aren't paying attention to any more of the fear mongering about COVID-19.
That's very true. I think it was even I heard it somewhere, maybe it was your show, that the whole Saddam taking babies out of, what was it, incubators or something, that was made by a PR firm. I think I heard that on your show.
Hill and Knowlton Public Relations did that one. Public Relations is a very polite name for we're going to be paid to lie to the people.
Gee, it's disgusting. It's going down the rabbit hole. You don't know where it's going to end.
No, you don't. The rabbit hole is getting very, very deep and very smelly.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for taking my call, and my best to you and Claire.
All right. Thank you very much. Here, we're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving, you and Claire.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, what's on my mind is, to your last caller, too, what we really have been lied to about, Mike, is this illegal immigration situation. Under Ronald Reagan, he lost that state of California because of his lies that he should have never granted those 2 million amnesty. Now it's up to 9 million in that state.
Yes.
And this whole immigration thing's spiraled and blown out of control. It's blown out of control. These illegals that are coming here are all going to, probably 90% of them are going to vote Democrat. The Democratic Party knows exactly what they're doing. That's how they flip in all these states. And, Mike, to all these blue staters up in the New England states, if we brought over 10 million Chinese over there and Vietnamese and Africans, so we brought 10 to 30 million over there in those all those New England states, you think they would be voting, all those people in those states would be voting Democrat now?
It's hard to say, but again, we don't know what is really a red state or a blue state coming out of this election, or for that matter, even coming out of the 2018 election, because we simply cannot trust any of the numbers presented to us as having been the results of the elections.
And that's correct, Mike. And we've been lied to for years and years since Reagan with this illegal incursion, this immigration invasion is exactly what it's called. Look at California. Now they call it Mexifornia because that state has got multiple millions of illegals. Bumbling buffoon Biden and his leftist communist Bolshevik party, Democrats, will turn this country. All those the first month, those 11 million doc and all that, they're all going to have a path to citizenship. They're all going to vote Democrat. That's the end of the Republican Party. That's the end of white Anglo power base in this country, if that happens. The white conservative Anglo base will be wiped out. The Afro-Americans, they don't even realize how it's imperiled them by all these illegals coming in here. And they still vote Democrat. It's all been a big ploy, a big lie, a psyop by these communist Bolsheviks to wipe out this country. And Khrushchev said he's going to do it. And that's how they did it with Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act. They wiped out the white women. Like I said, Mike, the white women in this country, I love them more than anything. But a lot of these white women are so brainwashed and hoodwinked that they allowed this country to go down the primo path of hell, because that's what's going to end up happening in this country if we don't stop it. Stop it now. Biden, that bumbling buffoon who's got a 110-year-old brain in his head, who just turned 78 years old. He actually has a 98-year-old brain for sure. This guy, the first 2 months, 60 days, these illegals are going to get citizenship. They're going to get better health care than you and me will get. They get better housing. They get free housing, Section 8. They get, like you say, Mike, Title 8. They get everything. They get the best of everything. I can vouch for that. I can tell you about that. It's disgusting and disgraceful. Now, what's happened to our country is shameful. And white males have allowed their white females, not all white, and I'm not blaming all. There's a wonderful bunch of white females out there. Don't get me wrong. And let's get this on straight on the record. I'm just saying, a lot of them with this licky, kissy, touchy, feely, bend over type deals, and it's going to ruin this country in the next 10, 20 years. It's over with, Mike. And you know what? This new Green Deal, why are all these Democrats like AOC wanting all these illegal immigrants to come here? Because they're going to want cars and all that. Is that why they want the new Green Deal? They're going to get away from fossil fuel. So multiple millions of more people have to drive cars. The traffic is getting horrendous. The food is going to be gone. The truckers are going to stop saying, hey, man, this is getting ridiculous. Who knows what? And like that one caller said, can you imagine if Kim Jong-un gets a tiff with Biden? Because he don't like Biden too much. He kind of like Trump. He gets in a tiff with Biden. He shoots an EMP over the Midwest. One EMP wipes out the whole food bank of the United States for the next 10, 20 years. Food rioting everywhere, Mike.
Yep.
It only takes
No,
one
I'm
EMP.
afraid you're going to be right on that. Even without Kim Jong-un, the supply system is breaking down. We had those devastating floods that destroyed a lot of farmlands. This country's in serious trouble, but our so-called leadership couldn't be bothered to deal with the real problems of this country because they were too busy infighting.
Well, that's correct, Mike. And you know what? Nobody's talking about, none of your callers have talked about this, but I'm going to bring it up. Well, maybe a couple of them have, but I'm really going to bring it up. The Chinese government, that Ping, Xing, whatever, he can't wait for Biden to take office on January. Yeah, he can't wait till January 20th. You know why? Because Ping or Xing, whatever you want to call him, he wants to flood this country with another 20,000 Chinese. They're sneaking through the Mexican border right now. Can you imagine that?
Well, he's probably going to get it because, the Chinese have got Hunter Biden by the short and curlies, and they know they can manipulate Joe Biden through Hunter. I mean, the Biden family is a national security threat.
It's a disgraceful family. Like I told you yesterday, Mike, that family is they're dark, they're black, dirty Irish. They are like Kennedy. Teddy Kennedy gave us the 1965 Immigration Act, and it wiped out northern white Europeans in this country. Basically wiped us out. Look at a lot of states now. They're totally gone. Mm-hmm. Okay? The Southwest is going to be gone in the next 10 years. I guarantee it. And, Mike, this is going to lead to only one thing, and you know what it is.
Yep.
One thing only. And I hate to say that, but, you're going to have other callers. Well, peaceful? Okay, fine. I hope it turns out peaceful. That'd be wonderful. But if you're not going to enforce the laws, if you're not going to enforce sanctuary cities, like you say, Title 8, breaking every law you could think of, and nobody's being persecuted. Nobody got persecuted with Hillary's BlackBerry when she was smashing them. No, she never went to jail, that creep. Her husband was a drug dealer. His brother got busted for cocaine. I mean, come on. You got Hunter Biden. You got Bill Clinton's brother, Roger Clinton. What a scoundrel he was. I mean, that's what it is, Mike. We got all these scoundrels in Washington. And they're totally wiping out. Like I said yesterday, I think a lot of white people in this country, and I don't want to say this, but I think a lot of white people are like, they're not feeling comfortable under their own skin. And I don't get it. And they're allowing this country to be wiped out. But other than that, Mike, I want everybody to have a wonderful, great Thanksgiving. We live in the greatest country on earth. And we have the greatest, our founding fathers are spectacular, fantastic, whatever. I can't even think of stupendous. I mean, stupendous, awesome. But, I think the founding fathers actually, Mike, truthfully, are rolling in their graves what happened to this country. I really believe in a lot of ways.
No question about it.
And, yes, and, if Biden does take the reins of the presidency, Mike, I tell you, I think it's going to be horrific. I really do. It's going to be horrendous.
Well, all you need to do is look at his initial picks. Look at his initial picks for his cabinet. You can see it's a war cabinet. Obama's already out there denying that a Biden presidency is going to be Obama 3.0. So apparently everybody is picking up on this. It's going to be a war, a war party for the next 4 years, and they're going to finish bankrupting this country with it.
Yes. One more thing, Mike, I got to say, and I'll let you go. I know you got another caller. I was trying to get in something I want to tell you yesterday about the Cubans. The Cuban population in New Jersey is quite big. Dustin knows this. And why is New Jersey such a liberal state? If those Cubans who had escaped Cuba because of communism, how come New Jersey such a blue state when there's a big Cuban population? And those Cubans in that state should go out and tell the rest of those New Jerseyans, hey, man, is that what you want? You want Cuba here in Jersey? Seriously? No food?
Okay, but Tom,
no hot water heaters?
Tom, you've missed my earlier comment. We don't really know whether New Jersey is blue or red because we cannot trust any of the numbers that came out of this election. You know, we could have seen New Hampshire vote red. We could have seen New Jersey vote red. But we've got the corporate media telling us they went blue and that Biden is our new leader.
Well, that's a great, yeah, Mike, I really didn't hear that, but no, I hear you, you know, and you're right about that. But, you know, I think, you know, New Jersey should be right for the pickings because you had that guy Van Drew, who was a Democrat, went Republican. And I think, you know, Jersey, those people are going to start realizing what the heck we got going on with these taxes, with this gas price. And once fumbling Biden takes over, Mike, it's going to be horrific over there financially. Look at all the people trying to get out of New York right now.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people leaving the urban areas, and they're heading out to places like here in Indiana, where there's a lot of room around, and you don't have to deal, you know, with the rioting and whatnot. Anyway, Tom, we're going to let you go here. We're almost out of time, and we're going to start with Peter in Los Angeles. And Peter, I'm going to have to take you through the next commercial break. What's on your mind?
Well, I called up initially to talk about a military confrontation with Iran and how utterly impossible it would be for the United States to fight such a war on the ground. Very, very difficult in the air. What Mark did not go into was we couldn't handle, Vietnam, which Iran is as big as the United States east of the Mississippi. So it'd be like fighting the Civil War in the same theater as the Civil War was fought. It would take total mobilization, which he was correct about, but it's 10,000 miles from home. We have a 300-ship Navy that I think the readiness things, there's only, I guess I hear the music there.
Yeah, we got to put you on hold. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through healthyworldstore.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
stop terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
Watch out for the police. They're lurking in every corner to beat you down for your stash. With handcuffs and guns, I bet they're having fun when they take away your cash. They're on the rise, this oversized gang of pirates on the seas.
Welcome back to our show. Last segment on our Wednesday program here, and we're talking with Peter in LA. And Peter, if you could just pick up where you left off.
So I was talking about the 70 or 80 million Iranians in an area as big as the United States, east of Mississippi, how it's 10,000 miles away. We have a 300-ship Navy that most of which, about 100 ships at any time, are deployable. We have the worst deployable record for or downtime for aircraft in history. I believe I sent you an article on that.
Yes, you did.
But the other thing, there's you know, and also it has two land borders. One has a land border or a land bridge at any rate to Russia, another land bridge to a direct border with China. There's no way they could supply us like they did Vietnam. They could supply the Iranians forever. And by the way, where do we stay? We're being kicked out of Iraq.
Yes.
Turkey doesn't want us. Where would we stay? So it would have to be a long-range air war done from the Indian Ocean, which is one of the reasons why we're after Yemen so badly, because we can't force our way into the Straits of Hormuz anymore against an actively belligerent Iran. But that's not the real reason why I called, Mike. Cory Booker, did you see the thing with Cory Booker, Democratic New Jersey senator? What
yes.
he has done? I did. Did you talk about that at all?
Yeah, we talked about it. You're talking about this, taking farmlands away from white farmers and giving it to black farmers.
Yeah, 20,000 grants of 160 acres a year. 20,000 of 160 acres a year. Of course, they'd be installed free, and of course they would economically be competitors of white family farmers. Been there for years. Black people had land grants from the Civil War. I mean, what they did with them, who knows? But nevertheless, that's the road that Rhodesia went down. That's the road that and is starving. That's the road that South Africa is going down right now. And didn't we talk about this and predict this 5 years ago, Mike?
Yes, we did.
It's just it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But there you go. That's the agenda, and that will be well received by the Democratic Party. And since we don't have any more, since we don't have fair elections anymore, if Trump it isn't put back in fairly, we can, and the agenda of the bankers, the media, the ruling Zionists who want to destroy us, they'll back it too, just like they backed Antifa, Black Lives Matter, disinforming them about crime and police brutality, all that stuff. And the fact that you can't even, it's almost impossible to find a Caucasian face on TV anymore. It's almost impossible to find that.
Yeah, it's, there's a war on white people, and we're not allowed to stand up and defend ourselves without being called racist. Anyway, Peter, I got to let you go. We're at the end of the show. The music is playing. My apologies to those callers waiting on hold. Try calling back on Friday. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Have a safe Thanksgiving. And, just really enjoy being with family and friends and have a really, really a good holiday. We'll be back here on Friday with the show with the lovely Lady Claire. Aloha, America.